Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Don Mafia Report. Happy game day, folks, in just a couple of hours. All right. Well, I mean, I'd say closer to 10 hours. We are going to be watching our Buffalo Bills take on the Houston Texans. And on today's edition, I just wanted to celebrate, man. It is game day. I wanted to answer all of your questions in the live chat, go over a couple of topics, including the fact that Keon Coleman more than likely is going to be benched for a second straight game. I also would like to unpack some keys as into how I think this Buffalo Bills team should be able to walk away with the victory, a final score prediction, and the whole nine. I'm going to ask each and every single one of you to hit that thumbs up sign for me immediately. If you are watching, guys, hit that little thumbs up sign below this video. And let's propel this out to the YouTube algorithm. And also do me a favor. Let me know where you're tuning in from. What corner of the globe are you tapping in from this morning? How far does Bills Mafia truly extend? Guys, I need to give a giant shout out to our good friends over on Sleeper. Folks, Sleeper, bar none, the #1 player prop platform on the market today. And as you can see, they already have all of the lines for the Buffalo Bills game and the Houston Texans that you could be putting together on your parlays right now. Say, for example, you think Josh Allen is going to go over 1.5 touchdowns. I think that's him. And so I think that Josh does get over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I think I like James Cook over 55.5 rushing yards. Davis Mills, I have a feeling Davis Mills is going to go under 210. I have a feeling. Anyway, guys, go on ahead and take advantage of this. They are giving you a free $20 just for signing up, okay? It is the best promo in the game. Say, for example, you would like to take advantage of that. My link is in the description, and they'll also match your initial deposit all the way up to $100, 100%. So, solid thing that we got going on here. All right, guys, let me know. Do not be shy. I'm talking to all of the lurkers in the building as well. If you are at work, if you are going about your day-to-day responsibilities, let me know where you're tapping in from. Let's go. Eddie Crook, let's freaking go. Go Bills. That's what I'm talking about, man. Let's talk about that. An effing Candy Crush ad. Sorry about that, brother. Love you, Dan. Let's go. Joey, what's going on, man? Hope all is well. Happy game day. Dan, the Bob man. Look at that. Iowa is in the building. Jacksonville, Florida, baby. Queen Ammo is in the building. What is going on? Lockport, New York. Gotta love that. Cleveland, Ohio is in the building. El Paso, Texas. Chattown is in the building. Kentucky. The Red Garden on Mars, man. What's it like in Mars this time of the year? Brooklyn, New York, the 718. Pittsburgh, RIP Week 1 Keon. Gone, but never forgotten. Hey, Dan, listening from Providence, Rhode Island. Let's go, Hector. I hope you're enjoying your morning. Washington, D.C., Rochester, New York. Wisconsin is in the building. Olean, New York. Baltimore area. Virginia is here. Orlando, Durham, North Carolina, Albion, New York. Man, we are truly worldwide. We're going to lock in with a question that I saw a bit earlier here. Jonah rolls in, and let's talk about it here. Let's talk about that. Dan, what are Shaver's flaws? He has produced when given the opportunity, but only finds himself on the field as a filler. I would tell you that that was the case prior to the Tampa Bay game this previous Sunday. It's difficult for me to point out flaws of Shaver's due to the fact that we haven't particularly seen him as a focal point of the offense just yet. Why I think that he wasn't utilized too often at the beginning of the season was perhaps a chemistry issue with Josh Allen, and not particularly an issue, but more so of they needed to get him on the same page with Josh. I also think that there was a bit of pressure from the front office and coaching staff to really try and force Keon Coleman to work. So he just didn't ultimately end up having his opportunities. I'm curious to see what we can witness from Shavers tonight, because while I was extremely impressed with what I saw versus Tampa Bay, this is a litmus test, bro. This is a damn litmus test right now. How is he going to do against the best secondary in the NFL? That is the question. Now, this Houston Texans team runs a lot of zone, So it's not separation I'm looking for Shavers. It's not separation I'm looking for any wide receiver on this team. I'm looking at wide receivers being able to get open in space, find these weaknesses within their particular coverages, which we pointed out during our preview earlier, and go from there, man. So I'm rooting for Shavers. Hopefully this dude can go out and be that guy. Queen is saying, I like Shavers. He needs to be utilized more often. Forget weirdo Keon. Man, we have a lot of people that are bought out on Keon Coleman. T-Town, Alabama, Jared Wilkes, 465. Man, look at that. Are the rumors of Keon being out again true? Dylan Brown. Well, let me tell you what, man. It is only ever rumors until we hear it from the team. But I got to tell you, I genuinely believe that he will be. Now, let's go ahead and transition into that topic because I feel like that once again is dominating the headlines. And let's take a look at a couple of these guys here, right? Keon Coleman more than likely is going to be benched based off of a missed meeting this previous Friday leading up to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. Now, he's in an interesting position because you will notice that players that ever get disciplinary actions from their team, the length of the punishment typically coincides with what sort of production you are giving the team. And there's no question that ever since Keon Coleman ended up getting injured, I want to say it was during the Miami Dolphins game last year at home. He missed 4 games. He was never the same. And we heard from Brandon Beane in his exit interview, and I believe even toward the beginning of training camp, where he was disappointed on how Keon Coleman handled his recovery process. He was disappointed on how he looked coming off of the injury. And outside of a fourth quarter in week 1, you have seen his flaws all over the field. Now, maybe minus a couple of like back shoulder throws that he ultimately ended up bringing down. And guys, look, like no shit given to Keon Coleman, but like even some of the catches that he has made just looks wildly unathletic, right? It doesn't particularly look like that he was the right move for Buffalo. You've heard me say this, that I don't believe he was ever drafted to be a Stephon Diggs replacement. I don't believe that he was ever drafted to be a wide receiver number 1. I think that he was drafted to be a Gabe Davis replacement. Because very oftentimes when you go into an offseason, your priorities are addressing your biggest weakness at the end of the previous season. And at the end of the previous season, the Buffalo Bills' biggest issue was drops and was having wide receivers that couldn't come down with 50-50 contested catches. So I don't fault the Bills for going after a wide receiver like Keon Coleman. I actually empathize with that because that was our biggest issue. Who remembers when Stephon Diggs dropped that would-be pass against Kansas City 2 years ago in the playoffs? So I don't fault them for it. I think that their heart was in the right place. I think that their mentality of the offseason was in the right place. But he just didn't work out. Hence why Gabe Davis is back on this roster. Hence why Gabe Davis, if the rumors are true that Keon Coleman is being benched again this afternoon, or excuse me, this evening, it's pretty clear that they've all but given up on the guy. And you got to think, if he's already demonstrating irresponsible and immature behavior, and this is me just speculating at this point, but I do think this opinion and I do think this theory has legs. You could all but assume that there's starting to be some sort of animosity being built between this young man and the front office. And I'm genuinely wondering how this saga is going to end. I will tell you right now that I really believe that there's a 20% chance that he's on this roster next year. And that's sad to say, because while he wasn't a first-round pick, he still was the first pick of the second round just 2 years ago. We had a lot of hope. And I think a lot of us fall victim into just watching highlights from college and we didn't really focus in on what this player showed that needed further development. I also empathize with him because I think that this team was asking him to do stuff that he's not particularly well equipped to handle. Like, he had no business running clear outs. He had no business being your go ball wide receiver. He should have been a big slot from the very beginning. And I do think that there is an ego a bit with this coaching staff where they think that they can develop a player into completely taking over a brand new responsibility that they're not particularly familiar with or that they did not run in college. So, yes, I'm probably going to go out and say that Keon Coleman is a bust. And perhaps it's not even his fault. Perhaps it was just so with his coaching staff had something to do with his development as well. But I really don't think that he's going to be on this team next year. I mean, I'm not going to go as crazy as saying that I think that he's going to demand his release or anything like that prior to the end of the season and then hopefully get picked up by a team that wants to use him the right way. I think that he will remain on the roster, especially say that we end up dealing with an injury. But it's pretty safe to say that this experiment is done. Now, when it comes into wide receivers tonight, here's my theory. Say that this is true and say that Keon, of course, is. So I think Gabe Davis will be elevated again. So it's him, obviously. Josh Palmer. You're going to have Khalil Shakir. I think that Elijah Moore is going to be elevated. And then I think Terrell Shavers is going to be your fifth wide receiver, especially since Curtis Samuel and especially since Mecole Hardman are likely going to be missing about 2 to 3 weeks apiece. So it's going to be 5 wide receivers. And no matter how you spin it as well, Gabe Davis and Keon Coleman, as far as skill set or perceived skill set, and I am saying that Gabe Davis does the Keon Coleman job better, but Gabe Davis and Keon Coleman being out on the field at the exact same time is extremely redundant. It's a redundant move. There's no point in having both of those types of wide receivers out on the field because you're just making that guy dress for zero reason. Not unless you want him to be like a special teams contributor, but it just doesn't make a whole lot of worldly sense at the end of the day. So we will see once it is officially announced from the team. I am teetering with, I imagine it's like a 95% chance that this is true. And that with the Keon Coleman experiment has been all but a failure. But you know what? And so I feel bad, but say that our offense can look even remotely similar to what we saw this previous Sunday, then that's going to hurt them, man. Say Gabe Davis goes out there and makes a bunch of incredible plays. Damn. Yeah, I really don't think that we're going to be seeing a lot of him whatsoever. We have Bills for the Bowl 2026. We have 158 people in live, not even 70 likes. Like it up. Go Bills. Yeah, guys, listen, we have one rule and one rule only. And no matter how many people are watching on YouTube, the like button must match at all times. All right? Say that you do not see that fixed in about 5 minutes. I need all of you to ruthlessly bully everybody in this live chat until it is done. Folks, we want to make sure that we recruit as many new members into this show as humanly possible because I like engaging with my fan base. I like understanding what you guys have to think about these games, what you guys have to think about these storylines that dominate the news cycle. All right? Because without you, I would be nowhere. And I always like to give it back. And I would like to grow our family even more. So hit that thumbs up sign for me and let's lock it in. We have Truth Teller is coming in. Is Petrie out with the concussion? Yes, he is. And that is a big blow to the Houston Texans secondary. When you look at the Texans secondary from coverage points, they are the number one secondary in EPA and also EPA per dropback. When he is off of the field, they drop down to 11th and 12th. Still very talented, obviously, but I think that's going to be a key to the game. I still would like Josh Allen to take a lot of things underneath. We're going to get to that once we end up getting into my keys for the game here. But yes, he's done. Congratulations, Shakir, on the baby. Hopefully he has a career game. I know, wouldn't that be incredible? What are Worthy's stats compared to Keon Coleman? Great question. Great question. Xavier Worthy stats. All right. So far this year, we have Xavier Worthy. He has 27 receptions for 281 yards. 37 was his longest reception, has 1 touchdown on the season. And then we end up going over to Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman stats. Then you end up going over to Keon Coleman. 32 receptions for 330 yards, 10.3. And then he has 3 touchdowns on the season. So the whole thing, and this is hands down one of the most, so I'd say annoying things about it is oh, we could have had Worthy. He was right there. People just get way too overly obsessed with speed, right? There are so many wide receivers out there that are fast as all hell, but that production doesn't particularly translate. Worthy and Patrick Mahomes have not been on the same page at all, and he's not getting a lot of opportunities. So if you're mad about the Buffalo Bills trading down for Xavier Worthy or passing on Xavier Worthy, don't be. Don't be at all, because we would probably be in a pretty similar situation right now. If you want to be mad about anything, you should be mad that we took Keon Coleman and we passed up on Ladd McConkey, because he went the exact pick after us. That's what you should be angry about, is passing on Ladd McConkey and not passing on Xavier Worthy. Because as far as it's concerned right now, you look at all this, last year, Xavier Worthy had 638 yards and 6 touchdowns, but then you end up looking at Coleman and he had 556 yards and only 4 touchdowns. So it's not really a significant difference. But when you end up looking at Ladd McConkey, let's go on ahead and check out this fool right here. Okay. Yeah, you should be livid about this. This is Ladd McConkey numbers. He had 1,200 last year, had 7 touchdowns. And then in 2025, he's already got 4 touchdowns and 644 yards. So if you're mad about anything, don't be mad about Xavier Worthy. Be mad about Ladd McConkey. That is where your anger should be shifting. Let me see. I was, and because Kansas City wanted him, and then he was the reason we lost in the AFC Championship game. But for me, I am just looking at long-term situations here. Dan, can I see the Bills Super Bowl shirt you got on there? Curious of the year. Absolutely. It's from Abercrombie. It's from Abercrombie right there. Look at that. Look at that, man. And so I got a lot of Bills gear, man. And so I have a lot of Bills gear. You know what I mean? Let's see what else we got here. Dan, wide receiver Brandon Cooks was released by the Saints. We could definitely use his services. He has always had a good game against the Buffalo Bills. Your thoughts? So I'll be completely honest with you, man. I would welcome a Brandon Cooks to this team. And before anybody says anything, you're just like, oh, Dan, great. Another aged up wide receiver number 3. Find another solution, baby. Find another solution for me. I am always in the business of improving this team. And as far as I am concerned, he is the best option that is available at this point. He's fast. He's still fast. Maybe he's not running the 4.3 that he used to a couple of years ago, but I'm willing to bet he's probably the fastest guy on this wide receiving team as we speak right now. He's a go route merchant. He's really good on go routes. Say, for example, you want speed and you want us to be able to stretch the field vertically. He's our guy, but he's going to be going through waivers. So I'm kind of interested to see who he falls to. Say that he ends up getting through all the waivers. In fact, I'm interested. Let me see. Brandon Cooks. Let me check this out real fast. Saints have waived veteran. Here, let me get back to this real fast. Saints have waived veteran wide receiver Brandon Cooks. Should be a reunion in Foxborough. Of course, we have some Patriots fans wanting to load up on the wide receiving room where there's virtually no point. Welcome to Buffalo, Brandon Cooks, where you'll be one of 17 wide receivers to see a target and do nothing. Interesting. Welcome to Buffalo, man. Welcome to Buffalo. We will see if Cooks is brought in, but we'll see what's going on. Dan, no player that has been released this year has been claimed off of waivers, FYI. So more than likely he should be available when it comes into it. Dan, so McConkey's slot snap percentage is higher than Shakir's. What does McConkey being a great slot receiver in LA have to do with him being a great outside wide receiver here in Buffalo? So the thing is, like, we've heard Joe Brady say that he is not particularly bought in on the whole, I need to find a guy. So I need to find a guy right now that is a 110% X wide receiver, right? Like, he doesn't like giving labels for these guys. And as my buddy Kevin points this out perfectly. He points this out perfectly. You can't tell me that having Khalil Shakir and Ladd McConkey out on the field at the exact same time is not attractive. Like, who cares if Ladd McConkey is on the outside? He played 50-50 on the outside and in the slot in college. Like, you can't tell me that having Ladd McConkey and Khalil Shakir out on the field at the exact same time would not be scary. Like, who cares if he's not a true X wide receiver? Like, he has experience on the outside. And so does Shakir. So you could very well utilize him like with that. Like, I am not of the belief that we need to have a dude that is just 100% X all the time, or 100% on the perimeter, or a dude that's 100% out of the slot. So, and plus, like, that whole thing too, like, pre-draft, man, like, I felt like I was about to have an aneurysm just trying to, like, look, when you're looking at wide receivers coming out of the draft, I highly recommend that you end up looking into PFF and you ultimately end up looking into some other data points that show them what their slot and perimeter snaps are. Like, when you see a guy that's a slot, 9 times out of 10, they have a pretty good amount of snaps out on the outside. And so McConkey was wildly underutilized. And same thing with Stephon Diggs, dude. Like Diggs, for the most part, he's a slot, but like, he ended up getting moved over to outside quite often, and he was predominantly an outside wide receiver for the Bills. So it's tough because my buddy Kevin always says, you can't tell me whether or not that he's a slot guy or whatever, that like having both McConkey and Khalil Shakir out on the field at the exact same time would not be a good thing for the Bills. I want the Titans to release Ridley so we can get him. I'm going to pass on Ridley. I just think it's a wild assumption to say McConkey would be the same guy playing a completely different position in Buffalo. You're basing it off of college, not the NFL. I don't think that it's wild at all. And so who should the Bills have taken? So who should have the Bills taken in the draft? And so I know a lot of you guys were obsessed with Adonai Mitchell. Laughable. And so I got burned by that too. Like, so many people were mad at me when I was saying AD Mitchell is not the guy. And by the way, I was also one of the guys that said Xavier Worthy is not the guy. Like, go back and check the receipts. I said Worthy and AD Mitchell. I did not like them at all. It's turning out I'm right with both of them. It turns out about that. And because he's a great route runner and creates space, and the exact recipe Josh Allen loves to throw, aka Diggs. Exactly. Having Ladd McConkey and Khalil Shakir out on the field at the exact same time was the exact same recipe as having Stephon Diggs and Khalil Shakir on the team. That's exactly how this offense is operated. Precisely, actually. When Bill's offense is bad today, we can move on from blaming Keon and discuss the scheme. I expect a bunch of screen runs and low offense today. Another non-throwing game, nothing over 20 yards. 1st and 15th 2 is coming in with your typical doom and gloom statement. And hey, listen, that's completely fine. I am okay with it. See, for me, I always like focusing on what the Buffalo Bills can do to win. And this Houston Texans defense is very good. It's number one. I don't expect this Buffalo Bills team to throw the football all over the field against this Houston Texans squad. They're very good. And they're only going to be giving Josh Allen underneath stuff. I don't care about all of this like juvenile, like, I need Josh to throw for 400 yards downfield. Like, that's not how the NFL works. That's That's not how this league works. Every single person that's out on that field is getting paid. Every single defensive coordinator is getting paid, and they all have their own strengths. It's just not reasonable. And so to think that we can see a game like that from the Bills each and every single week. And so I do think that this Buffalo Bills team is probably going to score around 20 points tonight. And I genuinely believe that's enough to beat this Houston Texans team. Like, this is by and large a elite defense we're going up against. It's not a crazy thing. It is not a crazy thing whatsoever. Gabe will take away Stingley. Shavers for 120. Cook is going to cook tonight. In the middle of the Texans defense is their weakness. Our interior offensive line will win in the trenches, slow down the edge rush in return. So I'm not so much concerned about their pass rush. They're not generating quite a bit. And that's actually a really good transition over into my thoughts on what I think the Buffalo Bills need to do to win this game. Let's go ahead and lock in here. Let's lock in, folks. Okay. The 5 keys for the Buffalo Bills to win this game. I don't care about style points here. I don't. Why? Because I'm not 13 years old. I care about a win, especially against a defense like this. Especially against a defense. Even if it's your ugly Buffalo Bills offensive type game, I'm willing to give them a pass due to the secondary we are set to face. However, what Buffalo needs to do, step number 1. Josh, take what the defense gives you. Folks, this Houston Texans offense, their defense runs predominantly zone coverage, 69% of the time. Zone coverage, meaning that there are always answers out on the field, typically underneath. Now, I could see some opportunities if you're desperate and you want to stretch the field. You can, because one of their best coverage players in Jalen Petrie is out with a concussion. When he is not out on the field for the Texans, this defense goes from number 1 in EPA all the way down to 12th. So sparingly say that you want to take a couple of deep shots down to Shavers, or say, for example, that you want to stress the intermediate in the middle of the field, by all means. But the recipe for the pass game, take the underneath stuff. Take what the defense gives you until you end up getting a lead where you feel comfortable, and then you're willing to be a bit more aggressive. I don't want to play from behind here. I really don't, because this defense is elite, but their offense, not so much. Don't want to play from behind at all this game whatsoever. Long sustained drives. You take what the defense gives you. That's step number 1. Step number 2, you can run against this team, but it needs to be strategic. No inside zone. If there's any sort of inside zone scheme, it's simply not going to work. They are the best inside zone run defense in the NFL. 9 times out of 10, this will be absolutely stacked behind the line of scrimmage. It's how this DeMeco Ryans defense runs. However, you need to look at what sort of schemes this Texans team has struggled with so far this season. And there's 2. First off, it's outside zone, and it's also gap scheme runs. In case any of you are curious of the difference of zone run schemes and gap, always look at the offensive lineman. In gap, each and every single offensive lineman is assigned to a particular defender. So it's sort of like man coverage, if you will, for the offensive line. And zone is just being responsible for your area. Very similar to when we're discussing secondaries and defenses. Outside zones as well, that is fine. And luckily, that's something James Cook is particularly comfortable with. If you must run the football, we need a lot of outside zone and also gap schemes. Perhaps even pull a couple of guards here and there. This is where the Texans defense has been able to get got in the run game. Stay away from inside zone. What's interesting to me, and I don't think that Buffalo is going to do this because they haven't suggested that they even want to do this all season long, is utilize Ray Davis in power scheme. Like power runs, this is hands down the worst run package that Houston faces all season long. They are awful They are awful with power. 5 yards per carry, each and every single situation. So say that it was up to me, say that I was like Brady for the evening, I'd probably end up giving a couple of opportunities to Ray Davis and for power run scheme and just to mess around. But of course, we paid James Cook his money, but with James Cook, have to dominate with outside zone runs and gap schemes, not inside zone. I swear if I see an inside zone, I'm going to be livid, especially say that we start playing from behind. Number 3, make the most of early downs. Please, please, please make the most of early downs. And so I know a lot of us hate screens, right? We despise screens on this team. Well, I am going to agree with you here. I would not like to run a lot of screen action in early downs. I think that us gaining 3 to 4 yards on first and second apiece is integral for us to walk out of Houston with a win. We need to take advantage of this. You do not want to be in 3rd and long situations with the secondary. You just don't. They are a tremendous, tremendous defense in 3rd and long, and Buffalo is hit or miss in 3rd down conversions, right? Especially in 3rd and long scenarios. Do not, and I mean do not, shoot yourself in the foot with any bonehead holdings that ends up setting us back on 3rd and 12s and 3rd and 13s and so at that point, and so you might as well just punt the ball away on 3rd down. That's how good this secondary is. That's how good this defense is. So make the most out of early downs. 3rd and shorts all night long. Or worst case scenario, just convert on 2nd if necessary. And you know what Houston is going to do. Number 4, run man coverage versus Davis Mills. Look, so he's a backup quarterback, right? It's to nobody's surprise that Davis Mills is currently leading the league through the past 2 weeks of throwing to your first read. I know that Sean McDermott has built his defense off of the zone mentality. No. You have to run predominantly man coverage, okay? Have Max Harrison out there right against Isaiah, I think it's Higgins or something like that, or Jalen Noel, what have you. Say that it's Cam Lewis or Taron Johnson. I'm fine with any of our DBs running against their current wide receivers. Same thing with Christian Benford, right? Man coverage. Man. Because with Mills, throws to his first read more than just about anybody, and his completion percentage plummets to about 48%. I'm fine with a couple of zone schemes here and there, but we need sticky coverage in the secondary, especially since our pass rush has been struggling. Something to consider here. Something to consider. Last but not least, fifth point. I feel like we got to take the points. And so I feel like we got to take the points here. This is not like a Kansas City Chiefs team. This is not like a Baltimore Ravens team where we know that they can score almost effortlessly. This is a team where perhaps being aggressive may hurt you. I don't have a lot of faith that this offense can really move, and that includes their run game. Like, they have a piss poor run game that goes with their offensive line. They're piss poor in run blocking. I don't even think that it's worth it to stack the box because it's not part of their offense. It's not part of their strengths here. Take the points. Say, for example, that they stop you like right on your own 30 or right on their 30. Just kick the field goal, right? 20 points is enough to win this game. Of course, I want this Bills team to find the end zone a couple of times tonight. But look, like, what we need to do is be methodical. I would love a 40-3, right? Like, I would love a 45-14 type game, me pounding my chest and just being one of the most arrogant people on the internet. Trust me, I would. But for me, I don't think that that's the game plan. Like, don't be overly aggressive. And so you take your points. Don't be shy with field goals. And let your secondary do the rest. Say that you can force Davis Mills into long attempts downfield. All of his interceptions have been 10 yards downfield. So create as much traffic as humanly possible right underneath. force him to go outside of the numbers. That's where the majority of his picks have come from. And I'm not sure about you, but Cole Bishop and Maxwell Harrison have been on a heater when it comes into taking the football away. So with that, those are the keys. Folks, do me a favor. Let's go on ahead and transition over to a Q&A segment, guys. As always, I just ask that if you would like me to read your submission, and just make sure you label it appropriately with either a Q or an S. And let's get into it. Good morning, Dan. Have you heard anything about the Bills acquiring wide receiver Brandon Cooks? Is this true? If so, I think this will radically expand the Bills' passing game. Go Bills. I am a big fan of welcoming Brandon Cooks onto this roster if he is available. I have not heard anything that we have even called his agent. However, I do think that he would fit this roster, and I would welcome him with open arms, especially since he's a free agent. I mean, honestly, how much is it going to cost? You think 20 is enough? Bills have allowed 20 plus with the exception of like 2 games. Yeah, we're going up against a backup quarterback, and we're going up against a team that has struggled establishing the run all season, right? Yeah. And so I'm not all that concerned of this Houston Texans like passing attack, like barring injuries or barring us completely like laying an egg. One thing you can give to the Buffalo Bills is that their secondary is a very good unit. We have a wonderful secondary, especially with now that Benford's healthy, with Maxwell Harrison is back. He's looking really good with the elevation of Cole Bishop, with Poyer being included right into the back half of our defense. And so our secondary is not the problem. It's pass rush and it's run defense for now. So yeah, no, I am not concerned with this Houston Texans offense in the slightest. And so the defense is the issue, though. Dan, and so I know you don't care about MVP, but would a dominant performance on the number 1 defense put Allen ahead in the race? Yeah, so it does depend on what Drake May looks like, and it does depend on what Matthew Stafford looks like this Sunday as well. But yeah, like right now, like he's in the conversation. Say that Josh like rolls out there and throws for like 350 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, then yeah, for sure. I definitely think that he would propel himself above in the sort of conversation. I hope our special teams gets us wildly good starting field position again. That was rad last time. That was a unsung hero of this previous Sunday. Say that Ray Davis can go out there and cook. That's only going to benefit this Bills offense because we have a challenge this week, folks. We really, really do. Yes, Keon is really being benched. LOL. We have Spidey Munn is saying Sean Tucker. It's not so much Sean Tucker, but you also need to look at Tampa Bay's offensive line. So when Sean Tucker was gashing us, and so you want to know like who was blocking for him was Tristan Wirfs. Like, dude's one of the best tackles in the NFL. Like, I could probably argue that he might be the best tackle in the NFL right now. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line is one of the best in run block win rate. And you just don't have that on the Houston Texans line. So that's why I'm not so much concerned when it comes into the run attack, right? Go Bills. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, man. How you doing? Statement. They only scored 16 on the Titans and barely beat them. Yeah. All right. We have Brandon Day is coming in. He's saying, so does Brady come out running the rock or playing aggressive like we did last week? So I think that we shift back into a relatively well-balanced attack plan. So I think a lot of outside zone. I think a lot of Josh Allen taking those short passes underneath and hoping that Shakir can create some yak. Some super quick slants to Gabe Davis on contested catch situations. It's going to be a pretty conservative attack plan based off of the type of defense that we're going up against. We have Nas coming in and saying, is Gabe Davis being elevated? Say that the rumors that Keon Coleman is being benched are true, then yes, I would all but assume that he is. They won't release Keon. It's likely a trade next year. He's too physically talented and young to not have trade value. Why not give blah, blah, blah and reporting that? I had no idea that they did. And so I had no idea that they did, and I don't like them. Statement. People wrote off Bishop, and he's thriving now. I'm down on Keon, but let's not forget how raw he is. He's 22. He was never drafted to be a number one. Look at Cook's development from his early years. Dan, I heard on WGR 550 this morning that Keon is benched. I've heard that as well. Did Gabe travel to Texas? I believe he did. Go Bills, Big Daddy D. Go Bills. When are the elevations happening today? Probably about I'd say like an hour or two right before the game. We're going to have to see. Steven Sutton, Keon Coleman not going anywhere and playing is not traded. That's what I'm saying. Dan, Poyer and Johnson are the weakest in our secondary. Poyer and Johnson are the weakest in our secondary. So a Poyer is a significant improvement. From Taylor Rapp. That much I can tell you. I wouldn't think the practice team travels. Say that they have a pretty good understanding. That they might be elevated. They normally do. So Gabe knows whether or not that he's being elevated or not. Which players score first tonight? And does Gabe get his first touchdown back with the Buffalo Bills? Which player scores first tonight? And does Gabe get his first touchdown? We'll see. Which player scores first tonight? And does Gabe get his first touchdown back with the Buffalo Bills? No, I don't think that that's the case. And who scores first tonight? Give me Ty Johnson. Let's see what we got. We have Truth is saying, would you trade the 0 from Buffalo for the 0 from the Texans, Aziz? Would you trade 0 from Buffalo for the number 0 from the Texans, Aziz? No, I wouldn't. On that. Practice team does travel with this team. Question, is your game day attire predetermined or any allegiance to a good luck hoodie or a tee? So I have a bit of some sort of superstitions. So say, for example, that like we lose with a hoodie like back to back, then I won't wear it for the rest of the season. But 9 times out of 10, it's just what's comfortable and just what makes sense at the end of the day. Did Keon travel? I believe he did. I think Moore was a healthy scratch because they started Samuel, and now it's going to be Moore. If Keon doesn't get a major self-attitude adjustment and start acting like a team player rather than a brat, I expect he will be gone next season. Statement, if the Bills posted the travel picks and Davis was there traveling. So he's more than likely going to be playing. You've talked about Josh struggling to adjust to some of the looks DCs are giving him this season. Could this cerebral element of development be something that's starting with the quarterback coaching? You've talked about Josh struggling to adjust to some of the looks the DCs are giving him this season. Could this cerebral element of development be something that's starting with quarterback coaching? Maybe to a sense, but what I think the true issue was that it was just a bit of an adjustment because like this offense has seen a lot of changes within the past couple of years. Last year, we saw a complete revamp of what our wide receiver room looked like. It worked because I believe defensive coordinators ultimately ended up underestimating these weapons and they ran predominantly man coverage against the Bills. That's why Josh was able to cook. He's great against man coverage. However, now you end up getting the exact same weapons, but then the defensive coordinators were just like, okay, like, how about we just start running zone coverage? Maybe that's going to be an issue for him. Because in my opinion, zone coverage bores Josh Allen. It bores them. It bores him, excuse me. Because we know that Josh Allen's a dog, right? Like you can't cage a dog that long. So say, for example, you force him to take all of the boring underneath stuff. Eventually, he's going to be like, all right, screw it. Now I'm going to try and hit them mountains downfield. And that's precisely what it's going to be. So we'll see. Pat, Cook needs to touch the ball 25 times a game, if that is easy. Honestly, Gabe Davis is just a better Gabe Davis with more experience. That much I can agree with you. That is what I can get with you. Get with you. Let me see what else. How do you think the run game will look like today? It seemed like last week Cook was consistently running up the gut rather than the outside of misdirections, etc. Would love to see better plays for the run game and RPOs. For the point of fact, a key on the only person he's affecting is himself, because he doesn't get paid. If he doesn't play same as if he misses meetings, he's only hurting himself. Quit blaming Keon. For the point of, well, it is what it is. It is certainly a polarizing topic. Remind me how we lost to Houston last year. Weird. So it's a great defense, man. And so it's a great defense. Solid secondary, Raider Cross. I mean, we'll see what's up. They signed Poyer and plugged him in with no hesitation over Hamlin, and Rapp went down for your own personal problems. Steven Sutton. I'm not sure what you mean by that. If the Bills had the Browns defense, we would win the next 4 Super Bowls. Keon is not going anywhere. He's still young. Look at Christian Benford, Terrell Bernard, James Cook, Khalil Shakir. We'll see, man. Great reporting, Dan. Show is weak as hell. Don't be Great reporting, Dan. Show is weak as hell. Don't be threatened by... Bro, trust me, I am not threatened. Trust me, I am not threatened at all. I have 330,000 followers across all platforms, and I don't buy them. Bobby is coming in. Can Josh get his first win in Houston tonight? And what does he need to do to get the win? It's a beautiful thing. Coleman will not get traded until year 4 of his rookie contract, same as Elam. Keon is a great blocker on the outside. And do you think that might be an issue with breaking long runs outside? No, because Gabe Davis is just as good. Gabe Davis is just as good. Knowing how Josh is a league MVP and coming off of his stellar performance versus the Bucs, he's well aware of this horrible performance versus Texans last year. He will not repeat that. Dan, what's going on the Traeger tonight? A pork butt. A pork butt. And so I ended up getting some turkey for Thanksgiving. And so I'm frying it too. And then ultimately I'm also like baking one as well. But tonight I'm going to go on ahead and make a pork butt. Some pulled pork, man. Lock on in. Lock on in. Queen, with Josh Allen had literally nobody to throw to last game. Houston's D is elite. Allen didn't play well either. I'm more confident in tonight's game. Oh, man. Look. So here's the deal. So I don't read Bills content. It probably comes to like a massive surprise to people, but like I don't watch other content creators. I don't read people's stuff on Twitter at all. All I do, so with all of my takes and all of my assumptions and all of the news that I get are just from national outlets, number one, in which that I react to. All of my game analysis comes from very advanced analytic websites that I pay for out of my own pocket, out of film that I watch. I don't watch content, folks. I make it. I don't have time to sit back and listen, watch hour-long like podcasts and everything like that. So the whole thing, like, look, dude, like, I don't care. So about like my competition, like, and so I have friends, right? Like with Buffalo Fanatics is really, really cool. My buddy Kevin's awesome. Thigh Doc is cool too. But like, that's just because like we collaborate with each other and I enjoy their shows from time to time. But guys, like I don't watch Bills creators. I don't. So this whole thing is just, it's weird. 24 points is enough to beat General Mills, all his Lucky Charms. I agree. Hey, Dan, excited for the Bills game tonight. Isn't it interesting how many non-playoff teams will probably make the playoffs this year? It definitely is, man. It definitely is. Dan, I appreciate you keeping it real. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Titans put up 13 against them. I know the Bills can put up at least 25. With 25 is going to lock it in. With Jonas, On your most important fantasy football team, who is the quarterback? Are you still playoff bound? On your most important fantasy football team, who is your quarterback? So my QB is Jared Goff, who is a stud. When was the last time the Bills won in Houston, and who was the quarterback? Last time we won in Houston was 2006. I mean, shit. Who was the quarterback in 2006? Bills QB 2006 was JP Lossman. It was the last time. We have this. We have question how. And so is it not Keon's fault? He is late and missing meetings. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. So November 20th, 2025 was the last time. We have this, Dan. And so I know Bishop gets another pick. That's what I'm talking about. We have Tony coming in. He's talking shit for some odd reason. Tony, so here's my thought process for you, pal. Nobody on earth respects or values your respect or your opinions. So why should I? And so at the end of the day, and by the way, I actually love that you're coming into the live chat because I don't read comments on X because I love doubling down on my takes. I love like locking it in. So say you don't like what I put out, is what it is. There's 330,000 people that exist right now that follow me all across the world right now. I am the biggest Bills creator on the internet. I was born in Buffalo. I lived there until I was 14 years old. And if you don't like my stuff, I would recommend just not watching it. I have never in my life come across people who go out of their way, talk shit about like, dude, say that I come across content that I don't like, and so I just move on with my day. Instead, you're just trying to overcompensate for the fact that you haven't seen your own Willie in about 5 years. Okay, that's about it. And maybe you get, who knows, man. People are just nuts. You keep hating, but it doesn't matter. I just keep winning. It's how it is. And so I love what you're saying. He's crazy. Like, haters are crazy. And Dan is cutting people loose. We have JP Lossman is doing Uber now in his 2016 Honda Civic. Hit that like, fools. And have you ever jumped through a table? Yes, I have, back in my 20s. And so that's cold, man. Colder than an iced latte. It's crazy, man. Like, look, like how I think about this is this. You go to every single big podcaster or like all of the big names in NFL media, and you just scroll through their mentions, and that's all you see. And that's all you see is hate. So I feel like I'm doing something right. So trust me, it's so funny. Like, so because guys like that is like, everyone I talk to absolutely hates you, bro. Like, you probably only have 3 friends and they're all miserable losers. That's not everybody. Okay, my friend, your 3 miserable loser friends are not everybody. Okay, I feel like that you're loosely using that term. 330,000, 12 million views a month, 100 million a year. So you can hate, and so I'll keep on going ahead and so I'll make content for the people that enjoy it. Just do me a favor and go back to being a miserable fuck. Thank you so much. Statement. So why is there so much leeway for Coleman? His production or separation or route running? Dan is absolutely sizzling. Dan was put through a table by his folks when he was born, like the recent Bills commercial. You already know it. Who cares? You're still making money. Yeah. And Tony, say that you want Tony, say that you have a problem with me. All right. Come over every time, but roll over anytime you'd like, but call me when you get outside of the neighborhood because I'm going to have to give you the gate code. Okay. It's the 4,000 square foot all brick house. 7th one down the road. I'll see you soon, fool. LMAO, miserable fuck. Dan is the GOAT. Mikey is coming in. My dad put me through a table, not because he wanted me to enshrine a Bills fan. I love that. We have newbie driver. So sad about Keon. Looking forward to redemption. Go Bills. Is Tony a Patriots fan? Nah, he's just a guy that he's settled with life, and he looks at me and he's pissed off that I succeed and he doesn't. Go Bills. My score prediction is 36-14. You're the best, and don't let people like that bring you down. Oh, no. Well, thank you, Bernice. I appreciate that. Dude is just salty. He's probably a Browns fan. Let me see. Question, Dan. And so I've been kind of out of the loop this week, keeping up with your other podcasts. What prediction for tonight's game for your buds with both Bills Roundtable and AFC East Roundtable? What's prediction for tonight's game from your buds? Well, good enough. We are having Bills Roundtable today at 3:30 p.m. EST. And so I like you, Dan. No homo. Thank you so much. I like you too. Let me see. And so I hope Bills can make Davis Mills look like Nate Peterman, or we may have him look at Peyton Manning. Just win, baby. Statement. Dan, sometimes I don't agree with your take, but love the work you do for the AFC East Roundtable. Keep doing as a Pats fan. I appreciate the work you do. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Dan, love your content. I don't always get the opportunity, but I watch your content very often in the mornings on my way to work. Just want to know you're a fantastic content creator. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And this is a no glazing Texans day. It's been all week. Game day. Come on, baby. Bills 27-14. I love that. See when you're doing well, so the algorithm likes you, shares you out to all of these lovely people. Absolutely. Statement. God bless you, Dan, and all the people who come here conflicted. Big Josh rushing day ahead. I love it. Dan, don't listen to these hating fools. Been watching you since you had like 50 subscribers. You're a good dude, and I look forward to your content every single day. Matt, thank you so much. I appreciate that. What I said sounds like that insufferable. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, guys, that's going to have to do it for another edition of the Don Mafia Report. So again, like I said, so I think the Bills win 20-13. So I think Josh really needs to take things underneath. I think that he needs to do his thing. No turnovers, for the love of so